You and me are not the same. We're at the pain just to make you sweat. You try to tell me that you're over it, yeah. You know I love you, you know I love you. You got something to say. Take me undercover. You'll be my cannibal lover. Blood red lips screaming. Take me undercover. You'll be my cannibal lover. Blood red lips screaming. Red hot blood for the summer. Tear me up, cannibal lover. Red hot blood for the summer. Tear me up, cannibal Take me undercover. Take me undercover. You'll be my cannibal lover. Blood red lips screaming.
Horário de família, então manda salve para Cabo Verde através do Serviço de Salve Internacional de CV Móvel, onde que pode fazer pode fazer através de bling.com, ou pode fazer através de mobilecharge.com, ou pode localizar pontos de venda que está disponível no país que você está.
Saldo internacional da CV Móvel.
Fica ligado.
The board feels great. It's kind of a bigger waveboard and helps you out a lot on passing the white waters, passing the waves, and like going against the current. In these side onshore conditions, when it's light winds, I'm struggling to do that because of my weight, and on this I felt it's super easy. So I think it's perfect for people to start learning how to wave sail and to jump and wave ride.
We want to make wave riding accessible to everyone in any conditions. Do you want to wave ride even if the wind is light and the currents are strong? The Code 2022 is a free waveboard like no other. With volumes ranging from 85 all the way up to 135 liters. This year we have increased the area behind the fin. This gets you lifted up to speed even quicker. To balance it out, we also increased nose area, which creates a smooth ride in choppy waters. And by adding curvature around the foot straps, the new codes improve greatly in maneuverability during bottom turns and power jibes. The 115, 125 and 135 are the best large waveboards we ever made. With a compact shape and thin rails, you'll enjoy tricky conditions and ride more waves, always with enough flotation under your feet.
In the turns you keep a lot of drive, so you don't really slow down even when the wind gets a little bit patchy. And then it's super nice to have big wave boards like that, like for heavy riders like me, to have a lot of flotation and still be able to wave ride in light wind. It's really nice.
The 2022 codes come with two fin setups. With the thruster fins you get the most wave performance. But once you switch around to the larger single fin, the board turns into an agile freeride board. More drive, increased agility and quicker. The new 2022 codes are a significant step forward. Are we promising too much? Come and try for yourself.
The Ultra Code. Our wild waveboard comes either with 5 fin boxes, allowing you to choose a different setup for varying conditions, or as Thruster Edition, making it the lightest waveboard we've ever made. A total of 7 sizes are available in Carbon Reflex, a technology with an industry-leading track record of only 1 board broken per 100 boards sold. The thin rails and slight tail kick provide the Ultra Codes with plenty of grip while carving through your turns. The concave bottom shapes allow for quick rail-to-rail transitions, while the shallow tail allows for faster turns. The compact board design gives plenty of control in strong winds and while jumping and flying through the air.
The board is very fast, so it's super easy for jumping. It's very stable. And for surfing also, it's a nice board because you can lean forward and do a nice bottom turn and push a lot in the top turn.
Thick white water, currents, and dodgy wind conditions often slow us down in the wrong moments. But with its fast rocker line combined with an extra thick center line, we ensure the Ultra Code picks up speed quickly. We designed it so you never have to miss a wave and can set up for the next jump even if you have to cross some white water to get to that perfect ramp.
Feels so comfortable either for jumping or for wave riding. When you want to change the rail into the top turn, you don't lose speed and the fins you can release it really well. Also in the jump, you can go really high because the board's shape.
The 2022 Ultra Code is wild, light, and sturdy. Come and ride your next wave with us.
Somewhere in the summer. Somewhere.
It's somewhere.
Somewhere?
Somewhere.
Somewhere? Somewhere.
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 And become a future fighter.
Yeah, I'm actually a future fighter.
Good.
Cabo Verde offers an incredibly diverse landscape, from exhilarating nature exploration and water sports to beachside pampering and cultural immersion. The sunny islands are a beach lover's paradise. With white sandy beaches, crystalline waters, and exciting water sports. The Census Islands call all nature enthusiasts and ecotourists. Mountainous peaks give way to lush valleys and surrealist volcanic landscapes where premium coffee and wine are produced. The Essence Islands are the cultural heart of Cabo Verde. Home to the two largest cities, visitors can explore the heritage sites while enjoying vibrant music, vivacious street life, and traditional food. Cabo Verde has it all.
Cabo Verde really is something else, let me tell you. Welcome back to the 2022 SOMWR Cabo Verde PWA World Cup. Kai Cachadurian, aka Flycatcher, US 33 from Palo Alto, California, by way of Maui, by way of Helsinki, at you. Good morning from Cabo Verde, and what a fascinating place this is. Now, since we have last spoken with each other, Cabo Verde has been an interesting place. A lot of hype placed on this weekend swell. Well, there's been waves, not necessarily just at Punta Preta. What happened was the swell swung north, and yesterday was an interesting day of sitting here and waiting at Punta Preta while we had other locations on the island, both rights and lefts, firing off. I started the day off today mysteriously disappearing at this really nice surfing wave where other people were sailing. And what you have here with 19 seconds to go is our attempt at Punta Preta, because what happened after that was the swell swung a little bit more to the north-northwest. And there's just this little window of swell here. It's better than yesterday by quite a margin, actually. I've seen a logo high set come in here just a little while ago. 59 seconds to go before the start of this heat. This absolute pivotal pressure cooker. And we are in the last round of the double. And this heat is absolutely a pressure cooker for everyone, but especially five-time world champion Philip Koster. Salmon, Arutkin, Koster, and Friedel Morales. This is the third time we have tried to run this heat. And that's the ladder, as you see, heat 19. And the top two sailors of this clash, should it go through with 10 seconds to go before the start, will be up split against, well, we'll see how that shakes down with the remaining competitors. It's definitely something to be spoken for here, who goes up top based on. Heat's on. Danelle Campello, Shedaway, and Swift await. Thank you. Back to sail Philip Koster as you see some onlookers there. Nice little semi-mullet non-shade there. Hey, what's up, dude? All right, that's a Rootkin on Koster's hip. You see the Red Bull logo. You see Koster. And this is just torture if you are somebody you are in a heat called the guinea pig heat. And that's the heat that keeps getting rerun. And you're like a little lab rat getting sent out and experimented with. And there's really no way out of it in this situation because of the last heat of the round. Sometimes you get to alternate between the heat after you and your heat until it finally happens. Head Judge Duncan Coombs stuck to his guns yesterday. We were here nearly till about 5 in the afternoon with this promise of swell that we refused to leave Punta Preta for anywhere else, and for many logistical reasons, including being able to bring you this live cast. I'll be the first person to tell you that mobile events here are very frustrating as well, having been a part of the trilogy before in '97. We definitely scored some conditions, but an organized competition with 32 competitors driving it all the way across the island with their various opinions on what to do and where gets very, very frustrating and confusing. And the best thing to do right now is realize that we have seen some contestable stuff here at Punta Preta, excuse me, and it looks a little like Hokipa. I was about to say Hokipa. And it's got that kind of little choppy nature on the top and looking around, but Hokipa's way better than that. It's been firing lately too. Shout out to the boys on the guardrail over there on Maui who are still up and awake. What's up in East Haiku? All right. Couple of the Maui boys here as well in that draw. Oh. Anyway. No Maui boys in this one. This is a German, Spaniard, Frenchy heat. Urukin definitely representing one of the best French riders with world title potential. I haven't talked about him enough. You know, him and his sister Alice, well known on the tour, kind of definitely stalwarts. Arthur has absolutely exponentially risen on a good trajectory. I mean, Alice, I remember her. She's top 3 at Hokipa on the waves. Phenomenal sailor. And, you know, like, it's all the marbles. He's got world title aspirations. Friedel Morales, sure, in the back of his mind, got, you know, get on a heater. Julian Salmon, in this heat, when they've been running it, has had these, like, frustrating moments. I was talking about it with Josh. And like, yeah, it's got to be fair for Salmon too, not just, you know, everybody else. Well, I remember Salmon had gone on waves and kicked out, and maybe he just wasn't reading it right or whatever, but you got to get on the board. Sometimes when you start a heat kicking out, that freaks you out a little bit because that's overdoing it, so to speak, on the wave selection, which is going to be the name of the game in this 45-minute heat. Judge Duncan's basically like, he's going to keep the format rolling to the extent where, you know, the categories, it's 2 best waves, and the timing, clearly, he might have thought about making it longer. But here is Salmon about to open up the scoring potential on a pretty medium offering. Doesn't quite have enough room to go here. What I do see below Salmon and Friedel Morales and Arug, you look at that line to the left of your screen. That's a set that's coming in low. Might miss the pack. Duncan Coombs, you know, really, you know, put his foot down here. He's like, I'm going to try this heat. After not going all day yesterday and then canceling a number of heats the day before, you know, is it hindsight that maybe you could have kept one of those heats? I don't know. I'm not the head judge. I'll tell you right now, though, that with what we know about Punta Preta right now, today and yesterday, you know, that Friday was a real surpriser in many people's eyes. Here comes Philip Koster with one of those lower looks. He's got good power in his sail. There's a couple of waves behind it. Needs to get on the board here. This is going to be a chance. He's read this pretty well. I think he realized it's not a big wave, but it's a chance to get on the score, and he will enter the arena here. Philip Koster, G44. That was a great turn. I don't care how the wave was. That was spray flying, still coming down. When Philip decides to put his power back, and he's got a great turn. Friedel Morales, a little less spray, but a second turn. A little bit of a longer line here on this wave. Is there some rock hopping to do? Well, definitely if he kept going. So, guys, with 5 minutes down, I'm not going to lie, this is less than what would really be considered a keeper heat based on the body of work that led up to this moment. And I'm going to keep a close eye on this because I call all those heats that got canceled. And where we are right now, we have to be up right to the same standard. We can't all of a sudden realize it's 2 days later and suddenly start counting really bad heats. Keep your eyes out on that. I mean, we really want to get this round done, I think, is the objective before we make the decision to continue rolling the double. But right now, sadly enough, my observation is the following, is that this swell in general has come in too north, and you can pan to Monteleo to the right a little bit in a bit, but I've been talking about it. And that's the difference between the west and the east side of the island. The east side of the island, in front of Josh's center right now, there's been some really good waves rolling it because they don't have a Monteleo. They don't have a mountain that's blocking it. That's why we got to have a certain swell direction and amount of intensity that's going to come in. And I think the sets that are happening here are the ones that are with this little swell direction change. Going from, just a couple degrees, you start getting more exposure. And hopefully, that will be what we start seeing. Because right now, I can hear the horn about to blow. This is absolute crap at the moment. There's no question about it. I'm not even going to mince words. We're not here to do this. And there was some sets earlier, so let's see what we got. Maybe we can run to commercial and get a reset here. And that worked last time. Let's see if the ocean resets with a little bit of words from our sponsors here. With a pretty slow start.
Horário de família, então manda sal para Cabo Verde através do Serviço de Sal Internacional e CV Móvel. Uma que pode fazer através de 10x.com ou pode fazer através de mobilecharge.com ou pode localiza pontos de venda que está disponível no país que você está.
Saldo internacional da CV Móvel.
Fica ligado.
The board feels great. It's kind of a bigger waveboard and helps you out a lot on passing the white waters, passing the waves, and going against the current. In these side onshore conditions, when it's light winds, I'm struggling to do that because of my weight, and on this I felt it's super easy. So I think it's perfect for people to start learning how to wave sail and to jump and wave ride.
We want to make wave riding accessible to everyone in any conditions. Do you want to wave ride even if the wind is light and the currents are strong? The Code 2022 is a free wave board like no other. With volumes ranging from 85 all the way up to 135 liters. This year we have increased the area behind the fin. This gets you lifted up to speed even quicker. To balance it out, we also increased nose area, which creates a smooth ride in choppy waters. And by adding curvature around the foot straps, the new codes improve greatly in maneuverability during bottom turns and power jibe.
All right, we're back. I hope that convinced you to buy a starboard. And if it didn't, maybe the next display by Philip Koster will. And we had a set looking like it was coming in. And that was it. Oh, man. No, I saw it myself. Duncan saw it. There was this 5-wave head-high set. Even like a slightly bigger one came in, and it was looking like it was just on. You start to get optimistic eyes when everything else, like this is the in-between. And, oh, man, we just need to get some action here. But 34 minutes left. Every reason to, you know, keep trying to see what comes in. Pumping on a plane is Salman, who might have been really happy to get that one, but it's going to go to Friedel Morales, who gets on his heels to stall to the top, and this is the set we've been waiting for. Koster outside of him. First turn, Friedel Morales opening it up, but unfortunately gets pitched by that roll-in chop that he failed to negotiate. Koster on a, this is more like what we were seeing. Here we go. Philip Koster, Friedel Morales swimming behind him there. Oh, yeah. Airtime for Koster, double airtime for Koster, and he completes his ride and gets a chance to escape a little bit of rock scraping. Arukin behind him on a waist-high wave that is going to offer him one turn only. Friedel Morales is swimming for his rig there. Let's pan out. Here's the struggle is real here. Now you're on the rocks. And your gear is getting semi-scraped. It's kind of on his own on this one. Help a guy out, come on. Josh has like 10 people helping him. Well, when you're the first round of the double, I guess you don't get help either. Oh, poor rig. Koster sailing out behind him. These are some of the very early kind of moments you can sail Punta Preta, you know, a couple waves coming through, you know, you're here before anyone else. There's only, you know, yourself and someone else out. You're always dealing with this, but I mean, this type of thing's happening more than it normally would because there's a contest. He's trying to score some points. He's trying to, you know, get busy. He's better off standing there, yes, waiting, unless a set's coming in. Let's get a replay of Koster and Friedel Morales also had a wave, or Rukin had a wave to add to their totals here, and then we can look at some scores. And then we can really know where we're at. Here's Koster. Ooh, I really liked that turn. So that's his one turn start. Here's Friedel Morales' first wave. You know, two little mid hacks. Here's Koster's second wave. To the lip and to the air. Koster's always light on his feet as well. Just a little bit more momentum behind it. He's geared to this power approach. Obviously, that's not, you know, the name of the game today. You got to be a little cat, just pouncing around there. He played the game. Let's see the scores. Delicately waiting. He's got a little bit more waves coming in. It's not really guaranteed that he's going to be able to do this. This is the front part of the rocks too. So anything that's coming in is coming in right there. It's not reeling down the point until minimum levels Punta Preta. And on behalf of the hype that this swell brought, I don't apologize, because I've been here too many times to know that you do anything but take what's in front of you, which we have done for the most part. We're making attempts to run this. There's just never tomorrow. That's the bottom line. And to get a single round done at Punta Preta is an accomplishment. I'll tell you that straight up. Interesting, you know, conversations about where else to take this contest and what we can do with the live stream and what we can do, you know, in terms of being able to document it. And the foregone conclusion is that if there's any chance to go at Punta Preta, we're going to go at Punta Preta. But Friedel Morales is kind of like, well, I've spent about 5 minutes standing here, and it's probably time to chuck this Goya rig into the deeper part of the point rocks there. There's just a lot of different variation in the depth of water. So what he's looking at is, yes, just jump in. Don't stand on it like Campello did. You'll knock a fin out. It's not windy enough to water start anyway. Swim out there. You know how to swim, right? Yeah, that's it. It's interesting, like, swimming with your rig and, you know, grabbing your rig off the rocks. But I got a tip for all of you out there. If you're struggling in a situation where, you know, you need to get your rig off of something, don't do anything else but grab your back strap, okay, your back foot strap, and yank yourself out to sea. You're an anchor. And that's the point where you can anchor everything that you have. If your, you know, mast tip strikes a little bit of a rock head, fine. Just grab your back strap. Just saying. Coster's total is a 5-point total to Frito Morales' 1.24. And Arukin, for his knee-high effort, has a 0.88. And Salmon with a 0.5. And a much better wave here. This is starting to at least be contestable. I'm getting more positive, I promise. The conditions have to do it for me. We can go to commercial in a lull, and the reset's good. We're trying to get a body of work here that allows us the level that we want to compete in, and that has to do with what we were canceling the other day too. I'm just going to speak up for that. It's a different day, I realize that. But it's the same contest with the same criteria. And right now, Philip Coster doing a little back to sail. Not going to be scored. 28 minutes left in this heat. And I certainly hope to see a little bit more exchanges like that, because the score line on this heat is still lower for the most part than the heats we've canceled, or it's very similar. And now we're looking at Arukin with Salmon in second place for his efforts. So there you go. We're getting in the lower part of the scoring range here. Arukin, you know, looks gunned for some of the better type of sets that are going to come in. It's got to change for the better here. And let's hope it does. Let's manifest some positive energy, myself included, and just get this thing going. Nice little gust of wind here, filling the lineup. We got the drone in the air, so we got the drone angle back as well. And that is what we're all about. Bringing it to you live here. A little bit of an exchange here. Frito Morales, first wave of the set. It's going to hug the point close. This is actually going to get pretty good here. We might be rolling through here. Very pivotal heat. Right now, Coster's got the lead. He's edging into it. And these are the looks that a north swell will bring. It's like you see this little line coming in like you normally do on those good directions, and then something happens. And I hope this is at least something now that these guys can read, because it's coming down low. You know, hug the point tight, you know, really tight on the point there, and you just have to get in from behind it. But right now, nobody's reading it that way. Everybody's going to the upper buoy. The set's coming in down low. Guess who read it correctly? None other than G44 Coster. Little bit of jockeying behind it. Coster's up on a plane. Looks like he wants this second wave of the set. Okay, you guys, we're back on. Smiley face. Yeah. And Punta Preta will do it all for you. Thank you, Punta Preta. We'll never, never stop believing in you. Coster gets his board around. About to head to like Midtown. Midtown right there over that little rock craggle. He's going to have a bit of a rock experience, but he'll swim right off if he gets the shot. Julian Salmon behind him. First air off the section. That was actually quite a proper air for the situation, and a good bucket or two or three of spray. He continues down the line. And then behind him is Arukin. Good exchange for Arthur. Lands in the bottom turn position, pulls the hit. Too legit to quit. All right. Much better. Now we're where the potential of what I saw before we started this, it has eventuated. We're in something that just might count here. I think we can kind of, you know, fold our arms and maybe not yet breathe a sigh of relief necessarily, We're off the schneid. Sorry I got all negged out there when we were on the schneid. I hate seeing nothing, because I know you guys really get tired of just listening to me with no conditions. We gotta have something like this. Koster, look at the rail work, the fade line. He's done his homework too. He's watching this very closely. He wants to be one of the world's best at Punta Preta. Boom! Salmon too. You want to be in the mix. And they are. And they got a long way to go until they're in the top of the mix. Arthur Arukin, nice to slow-mo that, because that really illustrates to you how possibly the judges could interpret that ride in particular by Arthur Arukin as fulfilling the requirements of what the judges are looking for. I would actually like to see that wave one more time, please. Let's look at Arthur Arukin's delicate rail line here. And wave placement as well. And this hit under the lip with a lot of interesting trajectory at the end. Very impressive. Okay, back to live. We have Arthur Arukin as well to back that up on a similar wave. Backdoors the peak, gets the hit. Subtle rail work here. Arukin wants to get in that next round. Slice and dice. These conditions might actually have a little bit of something favoring him, because he's able to dissect that wave like that. Giving the judges a chance to kind of differentiate slightly. And that's all it takes, because this is splitting hairs in all kinds of ways. Oh, man. Something to watch. That's what we need here. What an amazing island we have here. Waves all over the place today. The entire island's breaking. Very rare to see Punta Preta actually break with the other. There's Monteleo, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, if you look directly up at us, we're diagonally kind of north-northwest facing there to the tip of that island. It's your swell exposure for Punta Preta to light up. And when you see those lines marching in, there's a lot of anticipation, because you see it coming from a little ways away, and there's nothing like it, you know, on a big day. It's a minute away, you know it's coming, and it's just incredible when it hits the point. This place is one of a kind. More than a few of the world's top sailors call this the best wave in the world on its day. And while it might not be on its day today, and while we all might have our opinions one way or the other, and those opinions change the second you see what comes in here. And we just need more of it. It's a valuable resource for everybody on this island. The wind and the waves of Punta Preta doesn't always happen. This is the time of year you see it. And Julian Salmon has gotten himself on a wave. There's a wave breaking in front of him that you don't see on this drone angle. But what you will see is this wave will actually take shape a little bit more once it hits the reef, and it does. And he's about to drop into the pit here, but he's going to take a diagonal line now. The pit's full of rocks. And this wave actually also is in danger of going fat, but he's not going to let it do it without an aerial and then a quick avoidance turn. He's going to land right on a rock. And that's another thing that the north swells do here, is that they start hugging the rocks a little too closely. Whereas guys were making it through, and that wasn't an issue when we were kind of like, for at least the lower Punta Preta bowl at the minimum of it, beginning of this competition. Now it is no dice. You don't want to go there. Oh. Man, that's a good view. Thanks to our boy Vodol for bringing us the drone footage. Great flying. Arthur Arukin in first place. And here's the tail of the tape. He is getting rewarded for what we have been discussing. Absolutely able to get himself in first place where he is right now. And should be no surprise to anybody. Five-time world champion Philip Koster with a heat total of 6.12. And he most certainly wants to find a little distance between him and Julian Salmon. They're close, 5.33 to 6.12. And Friedel Morales with a 1.5 had gotten on some waves. It's not like you see the score and he didn't get the opportunities. No, no. He's had opportunities, just not super good ones, and he did kind of bobble himself with going on the rocks, so he knows just as well. This is the experience of sailing Punta Preta and the rite of passage that going on the rocks brings you. But Frito Morales also should turn around because you see a couple walls coming in behind him, and he absorbs this, though those don't really look perfectly aimed at the point either. And Salman up on a plane up top. This might or might not be worth trying. And he realizes that there's urchin-ridden rocks begging him to try. Come on. We want to spike you. Nope. Right now, I am going to say that this body of work has displayed the minimum required to count it. And I say that based on nothing flimsy other than what the highlight reel will reveal is that we had waves, we had scores. If I think about yesterday's attempts, which none of you saw, by the way, then, you know, that is. Yeah, we're good. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, the conditions are north swell, but they're turning northwest. And what we also have on tap is a few little rebursts in the fetch. So, you know, you stay here and you stay posted about what you want to get. You know, it's not just what's happening now, it's what's happening later. But we have definitely put a priority on using this heat as the example of what we will try to follow up with. And Punta Preta will surprise you. I mean, it works on all kinds of swell directions, right? I've even heard, you know, summer directions here work, which is astounding. And you're looking at that reef with that green part in the middle. And so that whole black patch there is where the upper part of the left breaks, which is a world-class throw it in your mouth, just, oh my goodness. And there's a right-hander off of that too that can get sailed. I'm not going to give away all trade secrets here, but yes, this place has all sorts of nooks and crannies. So when you're able to start, you know, moving around at Punta Preta, there's all these options. But right now, we're on the top of the North Peak, and there's definitely been some good scoreable waves in here. Nice boat in the background. Our friends on the beach watching in front of the rocks, trying to get into the game here, staying positive, staying on the upbeat because we got 16 minutes left. And if things don't progress beyond this, you know, Duncan's going to let the clock roll. I don't see him on the button anymore. Clearly, we're at a standard here where we're going to, you know, take a look at this body of work and then go from there. And let me see if we're actually looking at the next heat entering the arena. I haven't heard an announcement. I don't see a reason to press any buttons or anything like that. Let's keep it going. Beautiful Punta Preta on the island of Sal here in Cape Verde, delivering here wind and waves that would be lapped up by any eager windsurfer anywhere else in the world. Let's not kid ourselves. And there would be people out sailing today if there was no contest either. No doubt about it. Gotta have something to compete with, and we've been given that. All it takes is going to commercial, apparently. It's a tactical battle here, and people are, you know, within scores of each other. So now it's what happens when you get the next set. You know, this is like, yeah, there's nothing happening. Well, there's a lot happening, actually. There's a lot happening with Arukin, who's going to take the inside line to the top of the point, and he's going to sit basically where a surfer would sit. Frito Morales might not be reading it that way, but Arthur Arukin is kind of putting himself in the first position of what might come in. And it's a roll of the dice because if a big set came in, you know, Koster would be in the spot. And G44 is kind of hoping that'll happen. Maybe or maybe not realizing how close Salman is to it. So this is now the exciting part of the heat, finally. And we've been given good looks to get there too, thankfully. Far better than what it looked like earlier. And we are definitely in this picturesque bay. 4 people out at Punta Preta. You know, shorts and slippers. No complaints. Yep, this was worth the wait. This is just that little notch better than what we were trying to do yesterday. So that takes away the argument that those heats, you know, shouldn't have been canceled. And that's a good thing. And if anything got accomplished, you know, in this heat, that for sure did. This was worth what we did here. We're on track. Didn't look like it earlier. And this is clearly a lesson for everybody, including myself. You know, always get reminded. You just got to let it play out. This place will turn on and off a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways right in front of you. And that's kind of keeps the mystique of the place alive, ultimately. So it makes it so special. Everybody's been so happy to be here. I see all these people who've been now here for the first time just in amazement and wonder of even the simple things that are so beautiful here. Friedel Morales letting it pay off, being on the inside. This is a hooter. He's actually got a lot of wave face to work with here, but he goes to the bottom of the wave instead of where all the action was, and he's going right on. And here comes Arthur Arukin reading this one very well. Nice aerial. This is a big exchange here, guys. This is worth the wait. Here we go. Arthur crisscrossing up under the lip one more time and out before he's on the rock bed with a nice looking score and wave. Philip Koster behind him, already having gotten it a good turn there, given it a good wraparound. Now he's right in front of the rock bed, but he gets another good turn. Definitely a critical moment for him. Outside of Koster is Julian Salman on what might be more of a difference maker, but a very similar wave ultimately. And he does get a little tweak bobble air there, which is an interesting kink to his regimen, but was it enough to leapfrog? He knows he's close to Koster, and I don't think Koster did anything to create the separation, so this battle might be kind of continuing in the same dynamic. But what do you do now? Is this now that, you know, Koster and Salman have to play this game of keep away with each other? Certainly if they were aware of the scores, it would be, you know, nothing but get on the best wave you can and make sure at all costs that you don't open the door and give it away to anyone else. Friedel Morales, he's going to wait for a gap in the sets, which is just about right now. But he's going to need to jump in the water and get going because there's a little bit of a bump coming in. And luckily with the wind, you don't really see as he squats himself. And you get the idea of what it's all about. Our 3 competitors in the lineup are surveying. And Arthur Arukin, the leader in this heat, has definitely done some nice surveying. And he's on a good wave. And this one's coming in at the lower part of the point. And he's making darn sure that he's going to stay in that part. Boom! Second little folding section. You read it perfectly, but had to get out of there immediately. Big difference maker for Salman, as you see outside. Sets his railing and gets a proper air. Floats into the flats, but doesn't make the drop. And that might really prove critical for him, because he knows he's close. Here comes Philip Koster, G44. A lot to be excited. You know, top rail stall, floating at the top of the wave to get the speed and the apparent wind to punch his bottom turn and redirect into the flats, and it was an identical hit to Salman. They did the same thing. They should probably get the same score. Koster's on the rocks properly here. Both of these guys are on top of each other. And it definitely looks like this is kind of the point of the heat of what, is really in contention right now, second and third. Arthur Arukin's going to have a comfortable lead. Up to you what you would score either of those exchanges, as Friedel Morales just gives up and jumps in. All three of these guys, on the ordeal. This is kind of the way to watch it from up here. You swim off that part of the rocks that kind of flush you off. Yes. Thank you, Punta Preta, both for, the escape valve and the waves that we've gotten that finally came after a really slow start to this heat. I mean, I had to almost like justify to you guys out there why we were competing. And the waves we saw before this heat and then the waves you saw come in are the answer to that. It's hard, man. But it's there. And luckily enough, that little swell angle was definitely, helping there. It's coming in. All right, we got a little crash highlight reel for you real quickly. You can break to that as Friedel Morales goes out. Here's Arthur Arukin. Oh, yikes. Yeah, it's just what happens when you actually see those rocks coming up and very defensive measures come in. Salman just doing all he can. It's really fun to go, tempt yourself to hit lips and stuff. It's nice to have a big pile of gear too when you're doing it. Because in certain instances, you're not gifted that opportunity to have your backup everything here. And then it's like trip over. But these three sailors here, including Arthur Arukin, not in your picture, are well sponsored, supported by their respective brands, and there's extra stuff. 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. And definitely, I can tell you this heat's counting. Thankfully. Never say never, though. I'm going to knock on wood just because I said that. We're here for a reason, and that is to be able to compete in conditions that can differentiate the competitors. We want people to be able to demonstrate their abilities and interpretation of the conditions. And Arthur Arukin has clearly absorbed two things: picking good waves and riding them aggressively. Fanatic duotone combination, scoring a good head-high set. That's going to get the blood rolling, and that's going to get the momentum for us to possibly keep going here. Here comes Julian Salman on what could definitely be a difference maker. He catches his clue and does kind of a floater into this section. Better turn for Salman after this. This is all the marbles. Where's the urgency? Let's throw some turns. Kicks out. Behind him, Friedel Morales. On a really nice wave. Does a wraparound cutback. Koster's not in. Keep it here. Friedel Morales. A couple nice little secondary check turns. Beautiful. 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go. You've got to believe. You've got to believe in Punta Preta here. There's Ponce. And he's hanging out with Victor's wife and daughter. Excuse me, Philip's wife and daughter. Koster hanging on to a narrow lead over Salman, who's getting into the position to edge him if a difference maker exchange comes in. And this is just exactly the type of heat with a slow start that might have a scorching finish written all over it. And it could just be bang, bang. And you got to be ready for it. And I definitely see this corduroy to the horizon it's there. There are these lines, and you know they're minutes away or half a minute away. Guys need to stay active. And the other thing that's really in favor right now is the wind is not too offshore. It's blowing just right, filled in to the lineup. And this is just awesome. This is now looking like a good wave coming in here. Pumping furiously is Arthur Arutkin, but he doesn't get it. Just saw it a little bit too late. Guys couldn't get down in time. They were too far upwind of it. And Punta Preta will have one to herself here. Whew, that was a good one. Julian Salmon is on that wave that could be the difference maker. Pivotal moment in this heat. Here comes Salmon from behind the peak. He is going to punt in air over the section, makes it, and takes it all the way to the inside. Secondary spray, kind of safe, but gets a second air. And he's still going. He's going to go through the section. He's actually even heading slightly towards the downtown area and kicks out. We see the sailors from this next heat in the second round of the double going on, and we are going to continue. And that is good news. And hopefully the conditions will also do that as well. Continue rolling in. Julian Salmon just kicking out of what might be the difference maker here with 3 minutes and 26 seconds to go. A set sneaks under Koster. Arthur was really the only one in position for it. Let me tell you. Let's see what the judges want to give it. That score hasn't dropped yet, I don't think. And if it has, they're not rewarding him for riding to the judging cartilla, but they are rewarding him, and it is the right call. Julian Salmon has taken second place over Philip Koster, G44, in a dramatic turn in this event. I'm not going to overplay it. It's not over yet. But Salmon kept busy, and that's kind of the thing. It's the general theme overall, is that you've got to keep your head in the game, stay positive, and also just understand that you have to wait for it to come to you. Got to be patient. Very, very important. And no matter what the conditions do right now, 100% I promise you, this is going to count. And it's just the chess match that Punta Preta forces you to play with your competitors. Where are you in the lineup? Which wave do you want? 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Philip Koster pumping furiously on the wave that he's on, but he realizes that's not the one he wants. And the other competitors in this heat aren't anywhere near Koster to be able to also select this wave. But both of these waves, unfortunately for Koster, aren't going to offer him a chance to get the same score Salmon just got. And we can actually watch a replay of Salmon's wave. We'll come up with the score here in a second. Salmon with a 3.88 for this wave. He's building his case. He's building his house. Koster, one-footed aerial. Kick out. 1 minute to go. This is unfortunate for Philip, who this might symbolize just this moment in his career where you can't win them all. And he did a great effort, and it's always hard to be in this guinea pig heat. And let's not, forget the overall body of work of what Philip Koster is capable of. He got put in this situation that might not have been his first choice of conditions he sails in. And with 40 seconds to go, he's turned around, and he's going to sail into the beach realizing that his scoring is over. And he's going to pretty much soon find out that his contest is over. He's going to be eliminated here, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and it happens. He'll take it. He understands. Major blow to his world title hopes, and we will see where that leaves us. G44 Koster heading in 4-3-2-1, heats over. And 6.88 to Salmon, who kept swinging, and Arthur Arutkin, who won this heat, maybe, you know, as much on wave selection as how he rode the waves. Phenomenal performance from the Frenchman. Any replays we have before we go into this next one? Friedel Morales, nice rail work, kind of used the wide body of the wave. Julian Salmon, same thing. Lay that sail down and aspire to ride this wave like Angulo does. That's how it goes at Punta Preta, ladies and gentlemen, as our competitors from that last heat, Arukin, Salmon, Coster, and Friedel Morales, sail in. We'll get the update on our riders in the next heat, which has been sent out. We're going to keep rolling here. I have heard nothing from Duncan to counter that. And it's going to be, please put that up again. Juban, Clarek, Ishii, Runez. This is just a stacked heat in anybody's book. Takara Ishii has been ripping this place, and these conditions have his name written all over it. All right, we're rolling. Competition day. Much better than we thought it would be. And let's hope it holds. And the heat's on. 45 minutes to go in this 20A second round of the double elimination at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Takara Ishii, you know, has spent his time here along with Sugi. They were here early, doing their homework, scouting the island. And this is the moment that they're playing for. All these heats, these 45-minute moments in their careers that just allow them to focus everything they've ever learned into a display of their abilities for the judges at the highest level. And, you know, it is pressure. It's funny to think the amount of pressure you would feel in a situation when you look at a lineup like this. It's pressure and it's competition. And it's based on the judge's interpretation of the rider's wave selection and execution of maneuvers on it. All four of these guys are also efficiency experts, by the way. That's the thing that I come away with when I look at the four of them here on the screen. And having sailed with all of them, you know, they know how to hustle. And Runez definitely, you know, along with Traversa, they have a certain look to their riding with the gear they ride. So that's on display too. And speaking of gear, our friend Camille Juban, who's on this wave but kicks out, is on a new board sponsor, AV Boards. Aurelio Verdi, I believe. And the two RRD riders, Clarek and Takara Ishii. Oh, man. Stacker. The PWA has come back to Cabo Verde for the first time in 10 years. A little longer, excuse me, 12 years. And we always want to be able to compete at Punta Preta, if at all possible. I think this is the signature spot of the island. And we've all seen what the other places can do. And it's not that you wouldn't have, you know, any sort of formalized, organized contest at the other spots. The logistics favor this in all the categories, many times over. Even on a day like today when you think it might be better somewhere else, don't second guess it. It's perfectly firing here. It just needs to be brought to the judge's attention and the sailor's attention that, you know, it takes a little time. My attention too, obviously. Can't give up on it. Clarek starts his ride. First ride of the heat. His teammate behind him, Ishii. Clarek gets in air to clear it. And he is done. He's going to kick out on the rocks. This is Ishii behind him. Nice lip line floater. Clarek rock dodging. Both of these guys displaying a very nice style of riding. Ishii kind of got stopped up on that wave. Chop Little held him up. Juban behind him. Second turn of that wave. Juban got the best exchange of this set. Runes behind him. Juban skies it over the rocks. Runes in position with a set to the outside. There we go. All right, nice little crisscross fade line. Punta Preta's turning on. That's what we came here to do. And the other thing about this wind direction, and we've been talking about it amongst ourselves, is that it allows a little bit more of a side-to-side approach. A little more turns come into play. Runes with that on display as well. Put some turns down there, and it's important not to use the same approach all the time. But once again, the judges are rewarding the vertical approach to aerials and hits. And Ishii is going to do the rock walk and the run to the beach. He's over like trying to wait for a gap. Takari Ishii right now I show in first place, 3.7. Clarek with the 2.38. Juban hasn't been scored and Runes hasn't been scored, so it's probably changed. Maybe you guys have a different take on the scores. We'll see. Juban in first, 6.75. Now we have him in first. Ishii with the 3.7. Clarek with the 2.38. And Runes with a 2.8. So there you have it. Kind of in the mid-twos for those guys. Juban on a hooter. Beautiful wave for Camille. Nice. But he digs it. Maybe he hadn't really learned what that board does and doesn't do yet, but he got held up and thrown over the falls on that wave. And Clarek gives it a check, but a little secret for all of you is you're never going to catch a wave at Punta Preta unless you're at the peak. 9 times out of 10, that thing just laughs at you. The wind's really good. And that's going to allow us to at least have these sailors in position when the waves come in. Nothing's more frustrating when the wind drops and you see sets come in and you can't catch them. Just makes you want to grab your surfboard. But there are sailing sessions here, however, where you're probably in about 8 knots of wind or less. And it's literally a situation where if you can stand up on your rig and maybe sail about as fast as you paddle surfing, you're catching waves too. Clarek, fade line, the signature bottom turn of Cabo Verde, specifically Punta Preta. I love it. Little double kink over the rocks. Definitely all the credit to the RRD rig. Very, very nice looking kit. Looks like it could take a pounding too. Takari Ishii takes aim, and this is unfortunately the one where he... Oh, this is a different one. Hang on. Yeah! That was his first wave. And Juban. This is what put CJ in the mid... Oh, that's the one there he poked. Gosh, all these waves are coming in. Had that not happened to Camille, he'd be nearly untouchable at the moment. As it is, he's still in first place. Heat total 737. Ishii in second, 3.88. An exchange setting up here. Ishii on the inside, Runes on the outside. Takara opens up shop. He's still going. That's a nice hit. Nice hit. Here we go. Runes behind him. We're getting action. Willing it to fruition. Runes stating his case to keep moving on in this contest. Do or die for all these competitors from now on. No second chance. Runes is out. Camille behind him. Camille had away, but you're looking at Clarek, who's continuing his ride, I guess is the impression I see there. He had ridden that thing all the way to the shore break, basically. Camille had gotten on a wave, but he kicked out. I really don't know what we can expect the judges to do when you ride all the way to the shore break. It hasn't really been discussed if that's giving you extra points or not. I think the perception when you're a competitor, you're on a wave, you're like, I'm going to keep riding, I'm going to keep riding, but maybe we can see a couple replays here. There's definitely a little time for that. .35 minutes to go in this heat. There's Camille. Full wrap around on the cutback. Camille, very high boom rider. Likes to hang from his boom. You see, gives him a lot of leverage. Great riding. You know, the wave, in many cases with riders like him, doesn't matter. Fade line for Runes. It's really important with the wave positioning that you set your bottom turn up with where you're going to be on the wave. And especially important at this size range where you're able to project your turns forward. Clarek, with this lower part of the ride that we weren't fully paying attention to, got a full-blown hack on that little part of the wave, and now he's going to go full head of steam trying to get a rotation at the end. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how long you can pay attention to that. It's a little bit too far down. It's kind of the argument we make when you're going to a place like Alibaba up the coast where it's a kilometer long. How do you judge it? I mean, how? Another really good reason why we're here at Punta Preta, it's the skate park. This place has coping, you know, it's got some grind sections, a couple half pipes, and when it gets good, it's a vert ramp. Here comes Clarek's final move, and it is a not quite made version of, I would say, a paunch. He had the sail pre-backwinded there. Really trying to go over the terminology between goiter, taka, flaka taka, and, you know, all of these variations. Now, the goiter, yeah, I think we saw one with Brauzinho that was a goiter, actually, with the rig in the pit and then rotating around it. The taka has more to do with, you know, contact with the lip and rotating around. And then the flaka taka is the flat water flaka that's on the wave face with no lip contact, a la Antoine Albert there, with that back-to-back effort. Obrigado. Thank you so much for taking care of us here. We're getting, you know, fed well, and really appreciate all the efforts, specifically, you know, Josh Angulo and crew organizing this. More than thankful to you for everything you've done. And we're not going hungry here. We're in a safe place in the world, to say the least. And, you know, the body of the seats got scores with a low. Takar Ishii, 3.88. Clarek with a 5.16. Runes, 5.37. Juban, you know, in the scheme of things, comfortably ahead at 8.25. Totally contestable. And we're just in one of those middle moments right now. Why don't we go to commercial briefly? And we will be right back here at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Be right back at you. Takar Ishii breaks the commercial and definitely almost purred on that landing too. But this is exactly what needed to happen for him. And he gets something out of this, speeding right by us here in the container to make it over the rocks. Camille Jubin behind him, similar situation. Total technical shred on the nearly head-high wave for Jubin. And just precision rock negotiation going down. Wow. I think part of the judging criteria should definitely be how you negotiate the rocks in a situation like this. I mean, we've had fins get knocked out. It's heavy. Shakedown in the standings. And Runez is in second as Takari Ishii again takes aim. This is live. Makes contact with the lip. Really needs to scrap into this. He's worked hard to be in this contest. Nice spray throw. Gets behind the wave. Gets a nice projection kick. Aerial. Hits it again. You know, the game is on. Runez behind him. Way better than yesterday, you guys. We're stoked. As you see the scene here at the SOMWR 2022 PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Nice battle going down. Jubin's in double digits. Got the onlookers who've gotten the word on the street that we're competing. This is a replay. Takara Ishii's last wave. Got to float above the section there and luckily clear that chop that would have stopped him dead in his tracks had he not plowed through it. Good second effort there to get above the lip line and continue his ride. You know, he held on to the ride. He wants this lower section. He's done, you know, observed everybody that knows this wave keeps going. Clarek did it all the way to the shore break. Camille Jubin. This might very well be that high score here. Good vertical lip hitting. And Camille knows how to go downtown. Nice. That AV board's looking like it works really well for him. He looks stoked. Sponsor changes are hard, but no sponsor change is harder than changing your board sponsor. Because you have to be in touch with a whole new set of things. And Takari, she's ridden for RD for quite a while. You know, between him and Roberto, I'm sure, you know, we definitely have a good level of cohesion in what they want to do with their production boards and how they ride them. And between him and Clarek, it's interesting how you see them riding similar kit with relatively similar approaches. And they're really both kind of almost the same size person. Not that they're, you know, sail the same exactly, but it's interesting. And it's very effective here. People have done their homework on how they want to ride this wave, and you know, all the approaches apply, but you can see that people want to aspire to really rip. They want it to go to skate park mode, and now we're really talking. The conditions really did another jump forward here. This is why we play the game. Here comes Runez on the inside, first wave of this set, and kind of bobbles out. A little offshore bobble. He better get on his horse because there's three really good ones behind this, and I would hate to see it go to waste. And there's definitely some people in position. Here goes. That's Baptiste Clarek, no? Yes. First wave of this set, he's heading all the way down. Runez behind him, and behind him, after Clarek clears here, you're looking at the exchange between Runez and Ishii. And Ishii, for sure, is on a hooter. Look at this wave. Takari Ishii's on the behind there. Oh, that's a nice one. And behind him is Jubin. Best exchange so far in the contest right now, conditions-wise. And Takara Ishii gets a good aerial. Never mind the little rock. Gets the second hit. Taking chances. Jubin going to town. Didn't see most of Jubin's wave. I'll have a word here in a second. But yeah, I'm shaking my head because there's just been a lot that just went down in an extremely short amount of time. Clarek caught the first wave of this set and started heading downtown to where Camille is now checking in for his little expressway down there. Keep it going. And he kicks out finally after a great ride for CJ. Man. Camille ripped that wave. Ishii went for punches, and now Punta Preta's punching back. Runes is on the rocks suffering. And his, one little bobble with that when he lost the sail on the first wave of the set caused everything that happened to him. Then he had to try to go for a wave in the middle part of the peak that rarely works out that well. And it's those interesting little minute things that can happen that will just destroy you at Punta Preta. It doesn't take much at all. Really good wind blowing again here out in the lineup, but we're watching the ordeal with Runes, and we don't need to watch that too long. I mean, you at home might like to watch people suffer on the rocks, but we can, emphasize that point and move on. Thank you. Unless you want, to interview someone as they're going on the rocks because you think that's something you want. But not me and not anybody else who's, cares about what's actually going on in this heat, which is the three competitors now as Runes is rushing to the shore break, Ishii, Clarek, and Juban getting back in the lineup. Let's have some replays of that last set exchange and see what our camera has managed to get. There's Runes, who went a little wide. And that's after bobbling the first set. And here is Ishii's first bottom turn. Blurry bottom turn, just making it. Good acceleration, perfect aim. That was a beautiful turn from Takara. Keeping his rail active, flying into the section, dramatic looking hits. Nothing but aggressive riding from him. My hat's off to him on that one. Now this was the remainder of Camille's ride. We didn't see all of it. And CJ connects this one. Let's not forget, he went a little bit further than this. Okay, we have an exchange here. This is live. And this is Clarek. Gets to the base of the wave, tries to cut it a little bit, the only place of the wave that it's allowing him to sail. And he jets all the way downtown. Is he going back to the shore break here? Is it possible? Is there anything else happening? Camille's behind him. Nice little heat ending moment here in the last stanza of this ride. But Camille kind of reminding us what we really want to see. We want to see good aggressive riding at the peak. He misses the rail grab, but it still counts as a one-hander. And behind Camille is Takara Ishii with the full body English wraparound cutback. Camille won't give up on this wave. Takara got a good snap. Not much else. But he's also kind of focusing on staying at the peak. And I think the judges, for the most part, at a certain point, kind of stop scoring you when you run to the shore break on a knee-high wave. Ishii rightfully is in second place here. I kind of see the body of this heat playing for itself. And Ishii's on another one, and this is a good wave. Waiting for his moment to aim at the lip so he can get contact, but also make sure that he's projecting enough down the line to make the wave. And, it's not lost on me that all these old videos, the trilogy, some of the older PWA Cabo Verde videos, stuff that Josh put out, lots of stuff has shown you how to ride Punta Preta with this mentality of connecting sections. And we all learned, from a lot of really important sailors that have been here. And, Josh first comes to mind, of course, but, I also want to bring up when Sean Ordonez was here and won both those trilogies in 97 and 98. And that guy really wrote a good script here too. Hasn't been back since, but I must say Ordonez showed a lot of what I'm seeing in some of these other riders' interpretations of how to ride here. And it goes on and on. That transferred over to Cowley in 2007 with the twin fin approach. And, you know, these were definitely, you know, viewed by the judges because they were competitions. And I think that the approach that you want to show the judges is not necessarily always the same, but sometimes different is better. And you want to differentiate, and that's how you make the impression with the judges. And then there's just always plain old catching the best waves and ripping them to pieces too, which is business as usual for the contenders. Name of the game is get on waves here and rip them any way you can. But the name of the game in competition too, and you've seen it a couple times, don't leave it up to the judges either. Obviously they're making the decisions. You need to make that decision for them. Clarek doing his best, and he's a great sailor. He's had a good contest. This isn't the easiest situation. This isn't the easiest situation just to go rail to rail on a knee-high wave. The judges will first and foremost judge the wave. Camille Jubon, back live and in command of this heat, and pretty much in command of the lineup too. And he skies a nice looking air. He's going to make the section. These conditions totally favor him. We're done with this in-between stuff. Straight ripping from now on from all the competitors, or you go home. The standard's getting higher and higher because the sailors who are now sailing in these heats are getting better and better. And this is a gnarly heat. Big time gnarly heat. All of these guys, friends on land, friends on the water, but all bets are off in terms of anything else. You're here to win. Best wave of the heat so far is 6.75 Jubon. Just overheard that from Duncan. That's his first wave of the heat. Since then, he's kind of gone 4.64, 4.38. So those last three waves he saw of Jubon, you know, he knows they were the type of waves mostly that offered this type of score. But here's the deal. He doesn't want to hand that to anybody else either. He's going to be perfectly happy to occupy that wave for himself. Do whatever he wants with it. He's got to be aware he's in the lead. But that doesn't mean he stops swinging. Start and finish with your foot on the gas. Clarek is in a spot where he can get right into this heat. But that's not Clarek. This is Takara Ishii. And he's on a really nice wave. And this time he doesn't drop with the fade line. He does a little more projection. But that unfortunately resulted in his rejection. Behind him is Clarek. Oh, excuse me, I got that backwards. And it's a little easy with these rigs. That's Ishii, and before him was Clarek. Mind my sail numbers, pardon me. Neither of those scores are going to be consequential. So you can forget I said that. Interesting battle between Clarek, Ishii, and Runez. Runez finds himself with the momentum meter stalled significantly. But it takes one wave at Punta Preta both to change your opinion of the conditions and the judge's opinion of your riding. And here comes Runez with Jubon in front of him. You know, the setup at Punta Preta is amazing. The deeper you go, the higher the air you got to make. And Jubon came out of really deep angle there with the look back air, almost a bit celebratory here. Jubon's definitely out of this one. Here comes Runez. Fade line for the first turns of this wave. Definitely a really important ride for him. But the wave selection factors are really not going to allow it, and he knows it, and it's hard. It's hard to keep riding that little wave when you know you just need more. The wave doesn't care. The wave breaks, and if you're on it, you have to ride it. We could all channel our will to just be on good waves all the time. That's what makes it so special when you're on a good one, is you did the work to go and get it. Yeah, our hopes were answered today for sure. Yesterday's conditions were a tease. That being said, you know, like, had it on hold, tried to do it. And this was the promise of a better day, and it's been a much better day. And that's good for everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show at home. We definitely have a message to send with the SOMWR sponsorship, other than thank you so much for sponsoring this event and representing change in terms of awareness environmentally and the imprint that every sport has on the world. And here in windsurfing, you know, stuff like packaging and stuff like, you know, using certain materials needs to be rethought and has been rethought. And on this level here, we're not using, you know, contest stickers. We're doing 100% cotton jerseys, the little things that count. And we can all do our part. So thank you SOMWR from the bottom of our heart for sponsoring this event. And hopefully we've got a tradition here in Cabo Verde coming up. Hopefully the tour can start here every year. And this can just be remembered as that year, you know, that showed the potential. It's been firing, and let's leave room for those dream conditions that happen. This is definitely contestable. It's better than okay when it comes, and we can definitely tell you, everybody knows what this place is capable of. And I would have flown here for these swells for sure. You know, like, contest or no contest, Cabo Verde is going to have great days. And I think the balance that it gives the tour, and it's an interesting way to start that, I think it should be a part of it for sure. Camille Juban still in command. Takara Ishii, second place, good margin. Clarek and Runes behind both of them by a fair margin. I mean, it's a good score away for both of them. And now we've reached that 13-minute mark here. This is that little last quarter, the fourth quarter, if you will. Juban, Ishii, Clarek, Runes. Punta Preta waits patiently for those who know how to wait. Replays here. Let's let the tape roll. Oh yeah. The wind's definitely fresh enough to come from that direction as people are enjoying their afternoon here. Nothing but a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And there's a battle going on out on the water to continue on into what will eventually be the top 8 of the contest itself. Not just the single elimination, but the contest itself. And that's when we really get into it here. I'm definitely seeing some setups. My opinion is that we're definitely on track here after we kind of had a rocky start there to start that last heat of the first round. A heat which, mind you, eliminated Philip Koster from this contest with a last place finish, which is the last thing he wanted or needed. We'll see actually what the placings. He might have actually gone the third now. I think he did. Either way, that wasn't the plan for Koster, and neither will it be the plan for Clarek or Runes. But everything's going according to plan for Jupan and Ishii. And to them, they really don't care if they're first or second. You're just going to advance out of this heat and keep going. Runes had a rough one. No question about it. You know, the one little bobble with the sail, he was in the mix, he was rolling around, and all of a sudden, little dark clouds started falling around. And he couldn't shake it. You know, sometimes it takes someone else to tell you to shake it. Well, this time he couldn't shake it. He couldn't shake it himself. Nobody could shake it. And it's 10 minutes left for him to get on a good wave and just wash all of that away with an advancing position in this heat. He wants it bad. You always root for the guy in his position because he can go to worst to first. In this case, he's comboed. But, yeah, he's definitely getting close to needing something. What's happening and what you see these guys way out to sea with Monteleo in the distance is that the wind's enough now to windsurf around the lineup, and, you know, you need to. But when you've got planing wind and you can plane around there, you can go way up above the peak. And that starts to differentiate, you know, whose wave it is. And let's watch this play out here. A crumbly little set's hitting the point. And I think that what happened to a degree, whether somebody wanted to be on it or not, was those guys sailed a little too far out. They pushed each other too deep. It happens in surfing too. Okay, Runes is behind the peak, but too deep. So he tacks. And that's going to leave Clarek to tack out as well. So people saw the swell line, but it wasn't really a contestable wave by any definition. 45 minutes is a long time. And unfortunately for Runes, it's been especially long. His two scores right in the beginning, 2 mid-level 2s to start his heat. And just suffrage after that. Punta Preta on an in-between mode, showing us the other side of her. The calm and mellow side, the be patient side, as there will be good waves coming. You just have to believe it and you have to wait for it. And when it happens, it's extra rewarding. For sure, the hardest type of conditions to sail in terms of like your display of patience. My gosh, it takes patience to compete here. To be able to turn it on and off. It's a different kind of suspense, I tell you. But we've also, in this heat, had enough to work with. We've certainly been given enough to work with in that situation to count it. And Duncan's going to count it, and I can see the sailors for the next heat powering out. So we're moving right along here. Let the game continue. And where you see that SOMWR banner on that sign towards that buoy, to me marks kind of the beginning of the lineup. So guys are using that a little bit. A bit of movement on the outside. You definitely see Camille running with some intent here. He's playing for keeps. It's rad. He's so in the lead. But look at him get on this. Might be one of the better waves he's been on. Look at that hit the point and just turn into that. Bang goes Juban. A little too deep. That's also the danger of sailing that far out, is you all of a sudden are just on this deep ride. And board preservation now becomes the key because Juban's in an upcoming heat. That's Takara Ishii skying over that section on a bit better of a wave selection. Ooh. And that one almost looked like it was running fat as he skies that section. Behind him is Baptiste Clorec. Slicing and dicing as well. I think Ishii's done real good work there on his ride. And it was a little keep away. For sure it was some keep away. Clorec, not quite as much to work with. Still running, though. Forward, out the back. Toma Traversa helping out Juban there. And the run to the shore break will continue, but he might as well take off his jersey and go to the car and be done. He will leave the door open, but he's got the scores. But he's going to go straight back out. Not leave the door open. Runez with a real frustrating heat. And, you know, he's looking around. 4 minutes to go, not a lot of time. But nobody deserves it more. Right now, Runez, you know, deserves a real good wave to try to get back into this. Would be the fair thing. Would be the fair thing. Not a promise that that would be the case. Deserves a chance. So yet again, here's Juban. Look at the positioning and where he hit that lip. Blasted it. But even Camille couldn't sky that section. Yow! Oh, yeah. Let's go to our Facebook page here. Ian Pot live slow comb. PWA World Tour Windsurfing esta agora on vivo. Couple people reacting to the early look, and then Coster, it hurts to say this guy's been multiple times world champion and he can't roll. Well, that's not really fair. You know, like, he did what he could on his waves. I think that's, you know, critical more of the situation he was in than his actual abilities, and that's definitely, you know, a little critical. Arthur is ripping. Congratulations, Arthur. Sol 2022, the good old days. Yep, you could look at it that way. And Jeff Albright. Any sets? Yeah, there's a couple sets, Jeff. You just got to wait for them. Believe it or not, they're coming in. And we're here to bring it to you live at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and if there's a little identity change in the lineup, it's because the competitors in our next heat are lining up for it. And that looks like it includes Liam Dunkerbeck. Nice. Ishii has leapfrogged Juban impressively. And it took that, you know, couple hacks on that wave really showed that the judges are really looking at that mantra of approach of what they were bringing on there. Just keep on swinging away at your competitor and you are going to get the score when you get on the right wave. And Ishii, if I'm not mistaken, went from worst to first in this heat at some point. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. 15 seconds left. The exchange is looking like Juban is going to have the sealer here. He's the only one I see on a wave that's going to count. Runes might make the case that he's on something, but it ain't nothing. Camille, the winner of this heat for a while, but this isn't going to give him the lead. So it's Takara Ishii making it count with a great effort. Juban sails to the beach, and he had a great heat. And he should be stoked because he's going to keep moving on here. And for Clarek and Runes, unfortunately for them, Runes on this wave after the horn. As frustrating as it gets to be in a heat like this where it just not only doesn't go your way, but literally like one little false move started a chain of events that unraveled your entire contest. And Runes is a great sailor. I'm busy mistaking him for Thomas Traversa. He's such a ripper. Great guy, great competitor, lives to sail another day. And Clarek as well deserves major credit in this event. I can't say enough how impressed I am with his riding. And not coming out of nowhere. I'd heard him, and I definitely now have seen what he can do live, and so has the rest of the world. And he finishes in the back half of this field with some good momentum heading into Pozo, which is going to be the next stop on this tour to be confirmed in July. Let's keep rolling along here. Next heat, Graham Ezzi, USA 1, Dunkerbeck Morales, Pons, and Gil Girardi. E203 Pons had a great first heat of the second round, getting right back into form. Dunkerbeck Morales in his first clash here for his second round, having passed through a very difficult test in the first round that involved Victor Fernandez. And Gil Girardi also owner of some good highlight reel stuff here already. This heat's going to be a gnarly battle. The wind looks like it's blowing powerfully. Just about the right direction to be able to approach these lines as Pons opens up the scoring in this heat with an open face hit to try and stay ahead of this wave. And he kind of just mellowly kicks out with a typical first wave of the heat type of wave ride. We'll see how long we can keep going here. We're going to keep the spirits high. We're going to be really glad we're here, first of all, at Punta Preta itself. Anytime you get a chance to sail here, just about, you're going to take it. Doesn't happen all the time. We've been extremely fortunate for the days that it has happened here. This will be the fourth day that we've actually ran heats. That's a pretty good record for an 8-day contest, I'll just be honest with you. It's a rare bird here. But each heat has kind of had a different script to it, and this script has yet to be written. But Liam Dunkerbeck wants to open up his chapter, and he drops in with a good head of steam. That was a lot of speed to get that turn. Nice redirect into the part of the wave using his surfing knowledge. But that was all she wrote for that one too. So it's all been kind of one-turn waves. Nothing much more than that. Graham Ezzy. That's more than one turn. Nice, Graham. Keeps the rail work alive, keeps the spray flying. Very intricate rail use there. For a small wave, that was well ridden. And there's Marino Gilgerardi riding Goya. He sets up the high line. Will he fade? Not really. He keeps his speed up to keep the air over this section there as the wave grows over that part of the point, which allows him to get that little boost. And we do have Pons behind him. This is Pons setting up. High line for the boost. Landing in the lip line and out the back. His aim was a little off there, unfortunately, for Josep. I think he felt he was going to get a little more projected by that wave. But if you don't do it right, you get rejected. Out the back. Liam Dunkerbeck kicks out. Maybe we can start with a few highlights while we have this in-between moment and see where we're at here. Tight heat. 4.12 for Ezzy. He's in the lead. I think they really did see the fact that he got the angles on his turns. It might not have been in the wave itself giving him that score, but his interpretation and use of the wave certainly was rewarded. Gil Girardi, nice boost off that first hit, and some good rail work as well. Pons' first wave. Very well ridden. And Dunkerbeck Morales, did about half of what he wanted to on his wave. So therefore, he's got about half as many points as everybody else. Here we go. Let's go live to our cam above the judges' tower, so to speak. Judges' container tower. And Dunkerbeck has kicked out in favor of the wave behind him. Hi, judges. Apparent wind is an important thing at Punta Preta, and Liam Dunkerbeck has a lot of apparent wind in his sail right now, and he bleeds it off by kind of getting that check first bottom turn to reset his power when he wants to angle downwind. You want to be at max power at the top of the wave, sheet in, and shoot down the line. Just like that. Bing! Now that's the example of what you want to do on a bigger wave. So since it wasn't a bigger wave, he's not going to get a bigger score. And he knows that. But he's on TV, and that's rad. Liam Dunkerbeck just getting started with his career. He's the son of all-time shredder and multiple world champion Bjorn Dunkerbeck, who was in the live stream the last time we were here online. And Bjorn has been pacing up and down the sidelines here patiently with a little smile on his face. It's not quite that competitive stern face that he wore during his competitive days. No, now it's his son in the game. And it's a really beautiful thing to watch because Liam is a great guy, and he's a ripper. And this is the good test for him because it's the overall ability of the rider in all different kinds of conditions that's at play here. And certainly in this particular instance, your wave selection is probably the most important thing by far, but also your ability to turn waves into scores comes into play. And you do that with turns, and in certain cases, certain riders and certain opportunities, you do it with maneuvers. So that has yet to play out. Well, Marino Gil Girardi's in second place above Josep Pons by a very narrow margin. And all of these heats are going to kind of have this dynamic of being pretty close. Guys are going to build leads as their scores accumulate and they get on better and better waves. But right now, this is one of those typical early battles with these exchanges that are based on people getting on waves and then, you know, trying to get on better waves as they come in. Marino's going to keep working. And as our drone pulls out, you can see that it's going to hit the point in about the knee-high range, and he's already been there, done that. So he's out. And to the outside, there is reason to be optimistic because there are some swell lines approaching. And Liam is way out to sea, and I know exactly what wave he's looking at. And Graham Ezzy's jibed, and he knows exactly what wave Liam's looking at. Now Liam has his pick. Is it first wave or second wave? You can't play that game too long when there's other people behind you. And now you're no longer the furthest guy out. You've got Marino behind you, forcing your decision. So who's on which wave? Which one's going to be? Liam has now left the door open for Pons, who's going to be speeding behind Marino Gil Girardi. This is the game here. So now Liam Dunkerbeck had to give away two waves. And he could have been on either one of them because he didn't decide. Gil Girardi to the sky, over the rocks and through the section and far away from trouble. He is out of that one though, and so it's not going to give him a huge score either. Here comes Josep Pons, really trying to claw into this heat. And there's a style aerial, we call that I won't repeat on the air. Trying to be not mean. But Josep would be the first person to tell you he's got a better one in him too. Not a deciding score for Pons. Graham Ezzy, with a couple waves behind him, is into something here. Graham sets up. Bottom turn, cutback combination, keeping the rail lively, and then realizing that even he can't sell it to us as a top score. Will be a score though. And there's another couple waves approaching the upper part of this reef. So the consistency is getting better. And we're in a situation where we could get through this round too. And certainly settle some positioning here. Because the more we do it, the more we play this forward to Pozo and what happens in July. Josep Pons has the gear to keep him busy. Once again, riding these Carlos Sosa boards. Can't say enough about those boards and that particular designer and the influence he's had on the sport. Those who know, they know. Graham Ezzy on the left of your screen there in the Ezzy sail, little orange, tacks. Marino Gil Girardi, bottom turns under this wave. Second bottom turn, second cut back, and you can kind of see how people's body English and sailing style, when they know they're behind in a heat, you start like forcing little turns on little waves. Getting a little bit antsy when you're not on a really good one. No question about it, that little change in swell direction helped us here. And now that's probably locked in for the day. So you can look at more of this throughout the period. Now the tide will definitely affect things a little bit. But I think what's happened is it's switched enough to not be blocked by Monteleo there. And we're laughing because we're going to get conditions for the rest of the day. And it might actually get pretty good at one point. And this might be that moment. We'll see. We'll take what we get in front of you. You really have no choice but to take what's in front of you at Punta Preta. When you see it happening, you've got to grab it. Beautiful hit from Pons. That was a nice cutback. Keeping himself on the top part of the wave here to drop in and get this other turn. Graham Ezzy behind him. Graham Ezzy stalling for the scoring opportunity here. Back-to-back riding at Punta Preta. Graham Ezzy technically looking at this wave. What's it going to offer him? Not much more than a couple turns and a look and a kick out. Marino just all over the place with his stuff. Big aerial over this section and a big landing. That's going to make a difference. He gets a second aerial. That spelled trouble. Gil Girardi, already in first place, is now going to seal that a little further. Graham Ezzy still sitting on a 4.12 and needs a backup score because Ponce has sailed ahead of him. So Ezzy looking good early on. Liam Dunkerbeck's scoring line's a little bit under what he's used to, and he's kind of last in the pecking order here of the wave selection right now. That exchange when he wasn't decisive in his wave selection and let those guys pass him was a moment where he almost kind of let the door open in this heat, unfortunately. And he'll learn. Ezzy, second place now, behind Gil Girardi. The battle's definitely been between Pons, Ezzy, and Gil Girardi. And now it's really between Pons and Ezzy. Ezzy with a 1.88 for that last wave, illustrating that his 4.12 is in fact the highest score in this heat. And that means something. That means something because he can kind of play that quality control game knowing that he can get a small score and advance with it. Liam Dunkerbeck tacks. Just over 30 minutes left in this heat, and by all accounts, yes, it's going to count as well. We've really got a body of work here that surpassed our waiting day yesterday. We should definitely be really thankful we're able to compete right now here. My feeling is that we've got it competitive right now, and we'll keep that standard right at this baseline. This was a really nice aerial. Excuse me. This was the wave before. This is all some in-between stuff here. .38 for Pons for that wave. Well done for him. Ezzy. Ezzy's 1.88. Pons. I see what happened. Okay. Oh, right over the section. Liam Dunkerbeck giving it a look. That was Pons on the wave before. This was live. And both of these guys probably would have wanted to look at the outside to see what's coming in because there's a better wave coming in. It looked like almost. So Liam actually is going to keep going here. Hits the Groa. Still going. Still capturing the judge's attention. Nobody else on waves. Gives us a chance to show the whole dynamic of this awesome spot. And it looked like for a second he was going to make it all the way, but he does not. Length of ride, not really one of the most important factors in this. You see some of these guys start running down there, thinking that it's like, oh, you know, what it is more than anything is that you're keeping the judge's attention focused on you for one thing. And yourself, you don't want to stop riding this perfect wave. It's too much fun. We've got a little bit of an in-between. Let's kick to commercial briefly and pay some bills. We'll be right back at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Be right back.
Horário de família, manda sala para Cabo Verde através do serviço de sala internacional de CV móvel, onde que pode fazer através de 10x.com ou pode fazer através de mobilerecharge.com ou pode localizar pontos de venda que está disponível no país que você está.
Saldo internacional da CV móvel.
Fica ligado.
And we're back. And the jockeying for sets and positioning is well alive here. Graham Ezzy really giving it a look, making sure nobody's dropping in on his wave, which is a less than ideal offering. It's kind of got a 3-step level chop look on it. But he's going to read it the following way. High line, speed acquired, target acquired, trying to beat a 1.88, and I think he just did. Just slightly better than that based on what he did for the 1.8. Which keeps him ahead of Pons, who, as we saw, had this hit that went a little tail heavy, and he landed right in the pit where it was about 2 centimeters deep. And it almost looks like he bounced off the reef. I'm sure he didn't, but it looked like it. Gil Girardi in first. Ezzy in second. Pons behind them. They're 1 point away from each other. And Dunkerbeck Morales is basically close to a point behind them. So this is all step-laddered into a stack of competitors who are neck and neck, all things considered. One big set ridden to perfection will take the heat. Just about almost. Pons behind Gil Girardi gets a nice aerial. Gil Girardi scraping the bottom of the barrel while Pons is on a little bit of a better wave. Gil Girardi not really making a difference in his campaign, but also in the lead, so he could afford not to. Pons couldn't make anything else work on that wave, and is probably not in that difference-making position either. And the dynamic between Ezzy and Pons rests basically on wave selection now. Guys are going to need to get on waves. Here's Liam Dunkerbeck. Found himself a little opportunity here to get out of his hole. He creeps into daylight here and kicks out. 1.38 and 2 on his score sheet. Maybe he's put himself a little bit further closer to Pons. Pons' scoreline certainly has been blipped with mid-level 2s and then these one-hit scores. The last one being a .75. And a 2.5, which becomes his second best score. So his best scores are his first wave and his last wave for Jose Pons. It does, however, keep him in third place. Graham Ezzy, I wouldn't say comfortably in second, but 1 full point ahead of Pons. In a theater like this, you can definitely start just playing keep away on the wave selection. Very likely there could be one-wave sets. Is that not Bjorn Dunkerbeck motioning to Liam? You saw it. Helps to have that kind of tactic. Sometimes you're in your own headspace and you see things a different way than somebody from the beach who might actually have the whole lineup scanned. Graham with one hand off the boom, pondering his situation. I think he'd be happy to be in the position he's in, but I don't think he would necessarily feel safe. You can steal a heat in the final seconds if you're on the right wave. Ponte Preta's a wide range of viewing points you can get. You see there's people walking to the upper part there of your screen. They're taking a walk back towards this long beach that you see, and then there's some resorts above them as our other passerby have stopped for a look at the action. Hopefully they remembered their sunscreen. Yes, this is 7, 6, 5, and 4 score lines. So basically, someone manages to find an 8-point ride, it's going to be very beneficial for them. Right now, there is not that potential in the lineup itself, but all 4 of these competitors have the potential to do it. No question about it. 20 minutes left. You know, in between here, it's nice to look around, catch the sights of Sol, and think about all the other nice waves you can ride on this island for sure. There's lots of spots. Nowhere better for competition than Punta Preta, though. It's the arena. It's got the history. And it's really user-friendly spectator-wise. Both live and live stream. Marino Gilgerardi on an ankle snapper. No thanks. Kicks out, hooked in, with his hand off the boom like, come on, conditions. Come on. We're losing a little ground here. There are still going to be slow moments on a day like today that are tide related. The swell's not going to be here forever. Duncan, when he decided to go, he put his foot down. He was done waiting, like we'd done a lot of waiting yesterday. Done a lot of projecting on this. Graham Ezzy, here's a replay. I think this furthered him along a little bit. Let's see what the scoring says. It did not. It was a .88 from what I'm seeing. Or, no, excuse me, it was a 2. That was a .88 for Ezzy. So, yeah, the amplitude was what the judges didn't like. Now, Pons got the aerial and got the turn. And when you do that little pump bobble to save your wave, the judge is like, oh, it wasn't powerful in there. So that was a 2.5. And there you have it with 1954 to go here at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. It's a mouthful, sorry. Cabo Verde. People from all walks of life harmoniously living together. Isn't that the world we live in? We should just be living harmoniously. And once again, I just want to have a moment of silence for the people of Ukraine, starting right now. Thank you. We're praying for you. You know, Dunkerbeck Morales would be my pick right now to get on this Hooter set before this heat's over and post like a 6. And if he were to do that, he would leapfrog Ezzy and Gilgerardi. A 6 would be a golden score to get right now. And in a situation like today, it would take both the best wave of the heat and the best riding of the heat. It ain't going to happen any other way. Here comes Liam Dunkerbeck, kind of looking down the coast, scanning, hoping, and now putting his heels into something that he feels is going to be a scoreable situation for him. Gives a couple pumps. Not quite. Not quite. Pons behind him. These are our two guys who are in third and fourth in this heat, by the way. And it is kind of a sign of desperation in a sense, is that they're going for these waves because they're starting to understand that they are behind in the heat. But nothing breaks that momentum if you keep doing what had gotten you there in the first place. Keep going on waves like that, you're going to keep your position right there. You have to break that. And you have to just stay patient and positive. And you have to look outside and you have to scan under you. You go upwind, not all the way upwind. Scan under you. Stand in place. Don't just sail and plane. Stand there. Be like a surfer. Hold your position. Sail to the inside. Start looking around. Stay active. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Horizon shifts. Be in the right spot. You get the wave. You rip the wave. You do it the move at the end. And you win. Just like Paul Carlides said. Graham Ezzy. This has to be a good, it's a good wave. Graham's on a good one. He'll start off. Better wave behind him though. But this is going to go somewhere. Graham Ezzy hits his bottom turn, hits this slip, it throws him back into the wave. He gets a secondary hit. A nice little top turn on that other side of that draw there. Gil Girardi behind him. Graham, you know, getting a little bit of a longer ride there. So that might have helped Graham. It's not going to be his best score, but it's not going to be his worst score. Gil Girardi, same kind of thing. But Gil Girardi is a little quicker to give up on this wave, and that's a good thing because there's nothing left. Definitely all these optimistic looks coming in, and it's kind of a tough read because some of them really eventuate into a good-looking wave, and some of them don't. Wave selection's never been more important. Pons edges into something. And as well as he can see, this is a chance for him to catch Ezzy. And he's got to execute here. There's not a lot of time left for him to do anything but score, but this wasn't the chance he wanted. He wisely kicks out. Same thing. Wave looked a little better on the outside. And sometimes it is north like this, it just fades once it hits the point. Liam Dunkerbeck out the back, but controls his landing enough to continue the ride, but he's pretty much in the same category he's been the whole heat. Mid-level one, maybe something better. Gil Girardi, however, really skied that hit, and he's commanding now. In control of his destiny here. That was a nice floaty aerial. Let's get a replay of that when we can. Pons giving something a look, not quite really enough. As he's in first place with the 3-5 for his last wave, but Gil Girardi might have just upset that balance after this score drops down. That was a floaty aerial for him. No, that's going to be a 3-6-2 and a 3-8-8. Gil Girardi remains in second place, and a 3-5 for Graham goes nicely with this 4.1. So Graham puts pen to the paper and gets it done. Very, very well sailed heat for Graham Ezzy, realizing what he needed to do and being patient enough to find the opportunity to do it. Yeah, you're not going to win this heat trading twos. You've got to bump the score a little bit ahead of that. But first you need the scoring opportunity. That means catching a good wave. I think Pons' heat turned against him when he went with that tail stall aerial. And it was a good looking hit, but I think the wind did something weird to him. You can get this weird gust right when you execute your move, and it just throws you wrong. Competitors pumping to get into something here. 12:45 and change on the clock. Behind the peak, Josep Pons takes aim. Can he hit that section? He does, and he springs ahead of it. Second turn. Good little second hit for Pons. First area was nice. Is it bigger than a mid 2? Hard sell. Gil Girardi skying another one into the pit. Making it look too easy and almost too similar too, but I mean, what choice do you have? That's what the wave offered. And Liam Dunkerbeck tacks out of that opportunity. And luckily we haven't had to watch too many rock ordeal highlights this heat. Liam Dunkerbeck, target acquired. Wave required. Josep Pons, same story. Josep Pons really, you know, in desperation mode pretty much with even 11 to go here, you can tell. Has to get busy. And he's skying out the back on things because they're smaller waves. The bigger waves will project you a little bit more into the pit. And Ezzy, yes, is ahead of Gil Girardi in this heat by a small margin. A little bit more separation in this heat, though, and Pons has really had a hard time getting into the mix here. Well, we've got waves and we've got wind, and we definitely got some action. And this is at the point right now where we can get that little last bit of the heat that gives us that closing salvo exchange. Marino Gil Girardi trading first and second place with Graham Ezzy, while Pons and Dunkerbeck duke it out, trying to get into second place in advancing position. Marino, good hit, and he's out. Here comes Pons, tacks out, realizes he's too deep. It's nice with the drone because it shows all four competitors. It also shows the lineup, and you don't really. It allows me to kind of tell the story without things that aren't happening on the screen. But these four guys right now with 9:21 to go all want the same thing, and that is to advance further here in this competition. And this is the second round of the double elimination. And I feel that Duncan looks at this as the goal here in terms of finishing this round and taking a look at where we're at. Like I said, the further along we go, the higher the level of riding and the higher the level of consequences, you know, of placement is in terms of these riders' rankings. And I'm sure Duncan would love to get done with Heat 23, which would mean another 2 heats after this one, and take a look at the body of work and decide from there. Because once you're where Ishii and Juban are, you're in the top 16. Josep Pons, difference maker attempt. Didn't read it correctly. Maybe a little bit out of gas, unfortunately. That wave would have offered a good chance to get back into this. But it was a tough, tough line he took there. He went for a high line, cut back, redirect, and it did not give it to them. He did not redirect off of that. Here comes Graham Ezzy. Hasn't been busy for a while in the lead of this heat. Dunkerbeck kicks out in front of Ezzy. Ezzy, good stamp of confidence on his cutback there, but he kicks out, and it's not what he wanted to do either. He just wanted to get on a wave and show us what he could do on a turn or two. Graham Ezzy, first place in this heat, 7.62. He moves into a position where he can get into the top 16. And Gil Girardi right there with him. So there is a pretty important cutoff here. And really what it has to do is if you're in the top 16, you're in the top half of this contest. And the list of names of people who haven't gotten this far is extraordinary. And I'll leave it at that. I won't just talk about Philip Koster. There are plenty of really good sailors who've already been knocked out. After this heat, we have Shedaway, Le Sauvage, Swift, and Fernandez. Another pressure cooker coming up, and it's getting sent out. I can promise you that. This heat's counting, and the next heat's going out. Nice little small wave battle going down here. Gil Girardi's definitely been playing the game very nicely. This is a good display of that riding. Wave position. Good amount of speed. And smart positioning. In other words, getting to the right part of the wave. Pons, kind of using this wave to get to a lower part of the bowl. He gets a cutback. He can barely hold on to the rail work. Definitely continues his ride though. Second turn. This could spell danger if the rest of this ride goes good for him. Highline floater. And that's the part that didn't go well for him. The ending. So unfortunately for Josep, with only 5 minutes left, he has yet to put together the ride that's going to get him continuing through. Liam Dunkerbeck adjusting to his style and approach to Punta Preta with Graham Ezzy behind him kicking out. Liam just going for turns. High energy level of sailing. Let's hit up the comments here on Facebook. Bartholomew Bart, what sails is Juban on? Flycatcher's commentary. Thank you very much for that compliment. Thomas Suba answers for me. S2 Maui is the sail brand that Camille Juban rides. Those sails are designed by Barry Spanier and Art Spanur, both former Maui sails designers. Barry Spanier is a co-owner, actually. Nice to know. Juban's been on S2 for about 4 years now. Thomas Suba. Graham's rail work is just superior to all others in this heat. Karen Use. I love wave riding live stream. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Very nice of you to say that. Keep the comments coming. We've definitely got action on tap when it happens. 45-minute heats allows that, I would say, about 5 or 6 exchanges throughout this time period. Something like that. We've been rolling for close to 2 hours here, and we are definitely thankful to be bringing this to you. Josep with a last effort here to get on some different gear, maybe a bigger board. Some sort of change just went down here. He grabs his rig. He's going to launch from the shore break. Josep's campaign is almost done here, but he's a steely competitor, and with no quit in him, he's going to go out. I think there's just a mild equipment change. There's a slightly different board, perhaps. And on the outside, let's switch to the lineup, please, you guys. Look at Liam Dunkerbeck setting up for this wave. A good set's coming in here. The rig change was timed sort of well. Not perfectly. But that wasn't really a good ride, and Graham, as he's looking at some sort of mid-level set, I don't know if he's going to ride this wave or not. He opts out. It's kind of a decision the rocks make for you. That is none other than Bjorn Dunkerbeck signaling his son. Dunky's on his way, signaling right now, trying to tell this person getting the selfie with him, leave me alone, I want to coach my son. Marino Gilgerardi, he's going to swing through a big aerial here with the look back drift. This could challenge Graham for first if he does a couple more of these. This is a well-ridden wave for Marino. Is he going to make it through this section? It looks like it. Liam Dunkerbeck blows the tail out and kicks out. Liam still going. For sure he's going to ride this wave as long as he can. 40 seconds left. Can he make a difference in this heat? Can he get back into it? Behind him, Graham Ezzy slams this turn. It's a square turn. Nicely done behind him. Josep Pons, the one who can truly threaten for second place, is on the last wave of his heat. Wraps around his turn on his new choice of board. A little more slashiness maybe. But the wave is just not there for him. And unfortunately, it looks like Josep Pons is going to bow out in the second round of the double of the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Gil Girardi, rightfully so, with that wave, leaps ahead of Ezzy, who would probably tell you it's all good. This heat's over. And we are moving on to the next one. And it's nice to see all these waves coming in. Things have definitely gotten to the point where we should be rolling here. Those questionable moments are getting fewer and fewer. Look at Marino sight the lip. Look, he checks it out. He's got a low boom so he can get under. He's creeping under the lip. Great sailing from Marino and Graham, who move on into the top 16. Leon Dunkerbeck had a great contest. And he showed up here, I think, hoping to do what exactly that he did. Just have this moment that showed his arrival. Took out a couple big names. Graham Ezzy, with that square turn, serves notice that the second he gets on a good wave, Graham has a lot of power in his sailing when he wants to have it. Josep Pons certainly had a better heat in him, but he didn't have a bad contest. He'll probably tell you he did. I think he had a pretty good showing, actually. And I'm just looking at the body of work and the riding. The placement matters, too. I get it. And I think in my position, I can let the placement not speak for the riding. Pons had some great moments, and he is a world-class sailor, person, and competitor. Next up, Loic Le Sauvage, who, if I understand correctly, is not here to compete. And as much as other competitors would want his spot, which is a little silly because it's his spot, it's going to be a three-man heat between Fernandez, Swift, and Shedaway, which turns this into a pressure cooker because you really want to make it out of this. For the three of these guys, they're like, well, this heat just got a little easier, but in a way it got a little harder. And this is the mind game that competition brings. Because there aren't a ton of waves. And it's going to be all about wave selection here. Shedaway, Swift, and Fernandez know the game. And the heat is on. It's been on for a minute. Lots of whitecaps and two Neil Pride riders versus a duotone Fanatic rider. Victor Fernandez, multiple world champion, three-time world champion, knocked out in the first round of the single elimination and right away shrugged it off. And the first heat of the double for him was a master class of shred. And he had beautiful turns to start off his heat and continued on with a good display of aerial riding and wave reading. And these conditions definitely favor Victor. This is good stuff for Victor. Good wind, solid power in his hands. Just a matter of time before the waves allow this battle to begin. Beautiful scene at Punta Preta. We're just waiting for that first exchange. Shedaway has his eyes on something. Looks a little better down the point. Shedaway, the only person in the lineup proper, has himself on a shoulder high wave, but there's a much better set behind. And luckily for Shedaway, since he couldn't hear me, or maybe he did, tacks out of it. Now, coming from up the coast, comes Fernandez and Swifty. Fernandez highlines it, does the fade bottom turn to perfection and crushes that turn. One move wave, no worries. Here comes Swifty on a nice looking beginning of the ride. How long will this one go? Swifty takes to the air and swiftly gets on his feet and cuts back once again, redirecting the board, and he's out. Great start for Swifty. Jake Shedaway cuts out of that one. And that's the way this will start. Scores are up. Fernandez, 2.75, first place. We can come back when the rest updates. Swifty's in for a score. And Le Sauvage is here in spirit only. I wonder why he had to leave. Fernandez, this turn. Wow. Beautiful. You know, Fernandez didn't always have that turn in his game. But that right there shows that he's done his homework too. And he wants to be able to have all kinds of different looks. Swifty, we've always known, can do these little redirection angle changes on a dime. And that Neil Pride JP combo works well. And we're only waiting to see Shedaway get started here with the scoring. Swifty's in first place, 3.62. do or die situation for all all three of these competitors, with a chance to get into the top 16. And it's a big deal. I think it's the money cutoff too. So Gil Girardi and Ezzy are in the top 16, and now we're going to decide the bottom half of that. Last heat of this round, heat 23, involves Jules Denel, Salmon, Campello, and Arutkin. That's going to be a gnarly one. As the locals await what is to come here at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Look at Cabo Verde. Look in the distance, the blue-colored water combining with that beautiful African sand. It is such a unique place. And of course, some very nice rocks as well. Victor Fernandez up to speed and powered up on this wave. Aerial over the section, makes the landing, negotiates the rest of the wave. Victor's sailing super well. One move at a time, never thinking too far ahead of himself. You know, careful and cautious, but also direct. Hello, whoa. Was that a big gust or something that hit you? All right, we got a better one in us. It's hard to shoot this, but that was a little bobble, guys. Come on now. It's all right. It's on the inside. That was Shedaway's first scoring ride, if I'm not mistaken. And he ripped that wave so hard that the cameraman just like shook. Okay, big reset here. The conditions are on. I mean, this is what we're going to get. And a couple better sets are going to creep in here. Definitely a little bit, you know, pick and choose. But look at Swifty. He's going to go on this one. Spying it from above. Swifty gets through the first part of the wave to get his opening turn down. Stamps that turn. Really nice rail work consistently, just almost identically to that last wave. I mean, except with a little bit of an extra section to it. If you had a replay of both those waves, they would be like nearly identical. Victor Fernandez shredding this wave behind him. Really going vertical and critical, just like the judges were asking for, with Shedaway behind him ready to set up shop. Shedaway skying over the section, but really not giving it enough projection to get back into the pit, and that was mostly the wave, not Jake. Shedaway with a 288. Fernandez elbows his way into first without asking permission. Takes the spot. Swifty with a 737. That's a good heat total for a day like today. That means you've already done really good work. Shedaway needs a bit of a reset. He needs to get into the flow of the sets. And it might or might not matter how far out to sea you sail. The waves are breaking on the point. And it's just kind of hard. You know, you think like, oh, because you sailed out, you've got this chance. You just got position. You really just can't sail out to sea and expect that you're going to see a wave and then be so far away from the lineup that you're really not going to be able to do anything about it in the business end of things. Shedaway's wave. Right at the end there. 288, there was more to that ride. And here's Swifty's wave. With the subtle rail work, with those first couple bottom turn ripples that cleaned up, and that same wraparound cutback that was really good for his first score. He's on display for this second wave. And Victor right here, really, really sailing like a world champion. Excellent, excellent riding from Victor. Complete interpretation of the wave and perfect execution of the rail work. And maybe not something that Victor, had been known for, rail work. Well, he's gone and worked on rail work, because that, I'll tell you, is how Judge Duncan Coombs wants the wave ridden. Vertically and aggressively. And Fernandez sits in first as a result of it. 34 minutes left. And don't be fooled by the 0 by Los Sauvages, because he's not here. And don't be fooled by the 2.88 of Shedaway, because there's going to be waves coming to him too. Shedaway sitting all by himself upwind. We probably do have an in-between moment in this heat to possibly go to commercial for 20 seconds. Let's go ahead and do that here at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde.
Horário família, toma da sala para Cabo Verde através do serviço de sala internacional de CV móvel. Uma equipa pode fazer através de DIM.com, ou pode fazer através de mobilerecharge.com, ou pode localizar pontos de venda que está disponível no país que você está.
Saldo internacional da CV móvel.
Fica ligado.
Well, when in doubt, roll to commercial. Little set rolling in here to Punta Pret. Jake Shedaway, unfortunately, well, I see he gave it to Swifty. And now Shedaway hopefully can get on the second wave of this set if it's not claimed by Fernandez. There's a really nice set coming in as Swifty boosts off the first wave of the set, and that's going to be all that wave is going to allow him to do. Nice boost, though. So 3.88 total for Shedaway now. Swifty's approach was to come in, as far deep as he was comfortable with a diagonal angle with this bottom turn, and then kind of do a half bottom turn under the lip. That allows him to keep his diagonal line down the line. It was a really good read, but what also happens in that situation when the waves are smaller here is that you've kind of gone to the shoulder, which happens to be the only safe place to be on a wave like that. So it's half part scoring potential and half part survival preservation. Cabo Verde, bomb top. People waving the flag proudly. Because in the next round, if I'm not mistaken, or pretty soon thereafter, CV1's waiting. And CV1 is Josh Angulo. Not quite yet, though. Once we get into that top 16, things are going to get real interesting here. But we also have to make the decision to continue competing as well. And maybe Duncan will come over here at the end of the round like he did the other day, and just with the discussion and explanation about how things are going up in the tower and what the body of work that we want to work with moving forward is. It's definitely been a no-brainer to move forward here after a very questionable start. Things turned into the positive very quickly. And that had a little bit to do, I'm sure, with the swell direction. And the more northwest, the better for Punta Preta. Shedaway, Swift, and Fernandez. And it's Fernandez in first place so far. He's ridden 2 waves that are counting. He's ridden 3 total. 2 are counting. 4.62 and an 8. He gets an 8 for that vertically approached wave. And I'll tell you, he did everything the judges are asking for on that wave. No question about it. Judges throw an 8 at Fernandez for that wave. That's a high score here. It's going to be hard to beat that. Shedaway skies away on an ankle biter, but gets a couple good turns. This is probably his best score. Shedaway, can he nip on the heels of his teammate Swifty here, who's sitting at a 9.12 and a fair margin away from him? Shedaway looks at the lip, realizes he's right when it's throwing, and that's the model of how to sail Punta Preta even at bigger sizes. Just time that lip throw. In and out. And it was his second best score. 2.88, 2.25 for Jake Shedaway, US 25, 5.13 heat total to a 9.38 to Swifty. Definitely got enough wind to play the whole entire lineup. And what you see as well is that this lineup's kind of offering really only one zone where the waves are breaking. They might look like they're going to break further down. They might look like they're going to run down. There's only breaking at the top of the point when it comes in. And that means that this whole jockeying for position thing that people are playing definitely has its moments where it gets the best of you. If you get a little bit too far away, we've seen people get a little carried away with how far out they're sailing. You got to watch out. As our spectators who are watching closely at this battle, absorbing the game here, how you play it in pro wave sailing at the highest level, even in conditions like this, there are ways to show you not only what windsurfing is capable of, but how you compete in situations and how you're going to differentiate between your competitors. And right now the scoring line shows that there are opportunities, but it also definitely shows that there are only so many. And that turns things into pressure whenever you get on anything remotely like a good wave. Maybe it's time for some replays if we get Fernandez's 8-point ride, for instance. We'll find it eventually. Here comes Swifty from behind earlier in the heat. Just roll the tape. We got plenty of time. Love that turn. Did you see how that board arced around like that? This is the 8. Crushes that lip under it. Oh man, that turn was good. Let it be served that you can get a high score on a small wave. Swifty. And that tells you the tale of this heat. And I'll tell you, that 8 for Fernandez, call it a high score all you want. Look real closely to how he rode that wave. Ripped it to absolute pieces. Victor Fernandez absolutely shredded that wave. Jake Shedaway, in and out. Not really enough to get him interested in trying to make a move for second place here. Or even first. Something he's totally capable of, but it's going to take a better wave than that. He's holding on a pair of a 1 high 2 and a low 2. Swifty with a 4 and a 5.38. Victor with a 4.6 and an 8. He can hold on to that proudly. Oh, yeah. Here's your draw. Hold it here. Hold it here. Take a look at the progress here. Shedaway, Swift, and Fernandez, Heat 22. They are going to advance 2 sailors from this heat to Heat 25. Heat 23 is going to advance 2 sailors into Heat 25. Then we'll have Heat 24 and Heat 25 to go against who you see in Heat 26 and Heat 27. The winners from those 2 heats become Heat 28. Here comes Jake Shedaway, hoping to make it that far. Big punting air with a great angle and a great hang time. Is it enough to get into contention status? It was a beautiful looking shot and hit. I'll tell you that. Shedaway can be proud of that one. Swift. Kind of with that redirection hit, and he's out. Probably realizing a level of keep away existing as well here. But that hit by Jake was a really nice one. Let's get the replay. Here comes Jake. Watch this. Lots of speed. Springs it. That was really cool, the hang time. Hold that thought. Fair amount of action here as our locals from Cabo Verde. You know, Josh's wife Claudia told me that people are flying from other islands to watch this. Maybe those people are from Santiago. Maybe they're from Spargo. Maybe they're from Fogo. I love the island names in Cabo Verde. There's Brava, Fogo, São Vicente, Santo Antão, Sal, Boa Vista, Santiago. Yeah. And all of those islands have waves on them. Sal's the windiest island, though. Sal has a couple features like Maui, where you have wind-creating land features like Monteleo. And we're taking full advantage of every opportunity we get here at the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. You know, I've been really lucky here with Punta Preta, especially because everybody wants Punta Preta. And when we started this contest, we were in a swell and wind combination that this was the only place we could have run. And this also happens to be where logistically all the marbles are down in terms of where the live stream is and where the best connectivity is. And, you know, we're getting it. We're seeing through the low moments that we have today. And that looks like Victor Fernandez's girlfriend Manuela giving a couple little signs here. And that means victory. V for victory. So he's in first place, maybe. That could have meant a lot of things. All of them positive. 20 minutes and 32 seconds to go. We have one more heat in this second round of the double. And then I expect there to be a bit of a pause and consideration and a look at the tides and breathe a sigh of relief that not only we got through that multiple attempts at the last heat of the first round involving Salmon and Coster and others, but that we actually finished another round too. Jake Shedaway, kind of the sign of a little desperation when you're resorting to riding waves like that in a situation like this. And Shadoway has some work to do with 20 minutes to go. Something he's totally capable of doing. He's capable of walking away with a victory in this heat. But things do need to kind of come to his side as we take a stroll up the point. And you can kind of catch the vibe here in Cabo Verde. It's mellow. It's really hot and sunny, and it's windy. And at this time of the day here, approaching, 1:20, you're starting to look for the shade. You're starting to look for a glass of water and some sunscreen. It takes a toll on you. Oh, yes, it does. And another in-between moment, and what's really been a gift today, started off slow, but we really did get it rolling there in the middle of that first heat, which we finally completed. To get us to this point, one more heat after this to finish the second round of the double and settle the top 16 in this contest. And right now, I'm going to give you the top 8 in this contest. And that is, in first place, Bent Rodinger. Second place, Marcilio Brown. Third place, Traversa. Fourth place, Martin. Hi, judges, and thank you for your hard work, all of you. That's the top 4. Then you have Noiro, Sugi, Guillot, and Angulo. That's your back of the top 8. Then the first half of that is Ishii, Ezi, Gil Girardi, and Juban. And then we'll be deciding the next 4 riders, and that will be your top 16. Really good that we got to that point. Here comes Victor Fernandez pumping behind a double up, which is getting a little help from some wind swell here to create the opportunity. And Victor, again, playing these loose angles. I don't care if that wave wasn't ridden all the way through. Victor's showing us that he's got this gear. It's the turning gear. And I'm super impressed with it. And Victor's going to really, really like that highlight reel of that turn. It impressed me immediately when I saw it for the first time. That 8-point ride's part of the highlight reel of this contest. I don't care if anybody says that was super gnarly the way he approached it deep and absolutely shredded that. That's etched into my memory banks here from what I've seen. You see this like other part of the rocks, almost like a little concrete here. And people are enjoying the show. It's a spectacle. People have definitely flown from far away to be here. Who's to say? Who's to say that Shadoway can't get into this? He's creeping closer and closer to Swifty. 6.03 to Swifty's 9.38. It'd be just like Jake to snake in there right now, especially to a teammate. They say windsurfing's a team sport. Who says windsurfing's a team sport? Because it's pretty much not. All right, we might have a break in the action. Maybe we can loop into commercial here really briefly, pay some bills. We will be right back at the 2022 PWA Cabo Verde World Cup.
Família, então manda sala para Cabo Verde através do serviço de sala internacional de CV móvel, onde que pode fazer através de drink.com ou pode fazer através de mobilerecharge.com ou pode localizar pontos de venda que está disponível no país que você está.
Saldo internacional da CV móvel.
Fica ligado.
Vale,